Okay, hello again and on to the part 2, and again as the title says, nearly all metal update. So let's start with one that isn't metal. David Lee Roth, your filthy little mouth. I knew before buying this that this is not heavy metal, but still finding that this was produced by Nile Rodgers, I was a bit worried. Not that I don't like some of the work that he has done, but Nile Rodgers working with David Lee Roth doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Well, of the songs here, I would say that if I want to play something on Nile Rodgers, it's the last track, You're Breathing It, Urban New York City mix, which I thought was just awful. And what is worse is that it's not the worst track here. The No Big Thing is the absolutely the worst track here. It's got this semi-Caribbean feel with Jamaican rapping on it and just misplaced horns on it. Just plain awful track. Other than those, I would say that this is a listenable album. None of the tracks here are great, but it's okay. It's a listenable album. But the thing is just that I don't really understand what he is trying to achieve with this. What is the musical goal here? I don't know. It leaves me somewhat baffled, but listenable album anyway. Far more better find from David Lee Roth was the only single that I was missing from him. Just a Gigolo, I Ain't Got Nobody. And now I have all the singles from David Lee Roth. And this next album, when I saw this 2 years ago, I immediately decided to buy this, but I didn't until now. Deluxe edition of Love Gun by Kiss. And the second CD here includes unreleased material. But again, I have to say that none of this material here is like essential. It's okay, and as a Kiss fan, I'm thrilled to have unreleased material. But yeah, none of it is like really essential. The Reputation track is interesting because Gene Simmons used some of those lyrics to one of his other songs. I think it was one of the songs on his 78 solo album. Okay, on to the vinyl albums. Motorhead On Parole, their album that was originally left unissued, only released later when they became famous. And this is the West German reissue from 1986, and I'm glad to find it with this sleeve because this is the one that I wanted with, because I know that this has been released with at least 3 different covers. Musically, it's a kind of an oddball. They're still like they are looking for their style, so they are trying different kind of things, and not all of them very successfully, I have to say. I like it, not a great album, but it's sort of like a fun album from Motorhead. A really oddball album from them, I have to say. Okay, next one. I already had it in my hands some time back, but I left it back then because I knew that I would find this one later on, and here it is now. Riot, Rock City, their debut album, and this one says that limited to 300 copies worldwide, which is kind of amazing if it's really just 300 copies worldwide. It's on Metal Blade. Really great album, just like all the first 4 albums are. And then now I have to ask those of you who have sensitive mind or heart condition to look away, because this next album might upset you. Bon Jovi, These Days. Really great album from 1995. This is my favorite Bon Jovi album after New Jersey, and certainly their best album they made after New Jersey album. After this I've only heard Have a Nice Day, which I didn't like except for the title track, and Lost Highway, which I think is a good one. But this was the end of their great period. Yeah, I didn't even know that this had been reissued, but this sometime late last year this has been reissued, as was a lot of their albums. Okay, again, Armored Saint, their debut EP. this one includes 5 tracks, all on side 1. Side B is edged, and it has this one edged on it. Just like the album on part 1, this is great. A bit more primitive here, but still just great heavy metal. And again, this is on metal plate, and it says limited to 300 copies. And then a little bit of Finnish heavy metal, 09 Headline, their album from 1984. Honestly, I had even forgotten that this existed. I can't remember. I think I haven't seen this since the 80s. So to find this one in excellent condition was really a stroke of luck. A really good album from them. After this, I'm only missing Headline of their 80s albums. I mean, Headline. I'm missing White Lines. But I had that one back in the 80s, and I didn't like it back then, so who knows if I will buy that one again. Next one is not my recent purchases. I bought this sometime during the late 80s. But why I'm showing this one now is because this one got misplaced sometime during the last 2 years or so. I started I had to replace, rearrange a lot of my records, and this one I had kept with my 12-inch singles for some reason. I don't remember why, but during my rearranging, this one got misplaced, and it was missing for about 2 years. Stormtroopers of Death, Speak English or Die. I was sitting here by my computer some time ago, and just suddenly it came to me. I suddenly realized where I had put this one. I went to look for it, and there it was. And wanna take a wild guess where it was? It was between Christmas Records and Prince Records. So obviously, where else could it have been? Now I'm going to place it with the rest of my heavy metal albums. Next one, again, I've seen this a couple of times in VC, so when I found it with the really exceptional album cover, Alice Cooper from the inside, I wanted to give this one a go, because I haven't heard anything from Alice Cooper after the Alice Cooper band period. So I wanted to give this one a chance, since the concept seemed so weird, let's say. Good album. What was really odd to me was that a couple of these tracks have sort of a Broadway feeling to them, which I felt was really odd. Other than that, that didn't really bother me either, but it felt just weird. But yeah, a good album. I did like this one, and I think I'm going to investigate Alice Cooper's 70s records further. And another album that I did hear back in the 80s when it was released, but I didn't like it back then. Gary Moore, Run for Cover. I remember that I didn't like this back then because this was like too diverse. It was like one song was like that and another song was like that. So I just didn't like it. But now I think that this is a good album. With the exception of the last song, Listen to Your Heartbeat, which I think is just, well, it's just bad ballad. It just doesn't work. And I'm not against ballads. I like ballads. There's Empty Rooms also here, which is a great ballad. But Listen to Your Heartbeat it's just awful. I didn't like this. Other than that, I thought it was really good album. And then again, this one was introduced me back in the 80s, but I had no recollection whatsoever what I thought about this back then. Black Sabbath, Never Say Die. When I bought this now and started listening to it, it became very apparent to me why I didn't like Volume 4. Volume 4 has got this like a thin, sort of tin-like sound, whereas this one has got really broad, really strong sound. So yeah, I like this one, and songs are really good. So yeah, it was great to get this one. Great to get this one. I mean, could it be that Ozzy is the only one who has influenced the reputation of this album so much that this isn't really appreciated? I mean, it's a really good album, so who knows? And then Uriah Heep album. I wanted to buy a Uriah Heep album on vinyl because all the other Uriah Heep albums that I have them on CD. So I wanted to get one on vinyl. And the one that I would have really wanted to buy was Firefly, but I already bought that like 2 years ago on CD, so I wasn't going to buy it again. So the best one that I found that to be, well, the best option to me was Sweet Freedom, their album from 1973. The only thing is that the cover art here, being that I wanted to get Firefly because of its fantastic cover art, and this one is their least interesting cover art of all from any Uriah Heep albums. So maybe I will buy something like Magician's Birthday or Demons and Wizards, but for some reason, I really don't know why. I've never felt any real interest for those two albums, even though I know that the Uriah Heep fans think of them as being their best albums. Musically, a really good album, especially side one. I thought it was really good. Yeah, my first Uriah Heep album on vinyl. And the next one isn't really heavy metal at all. Scorpions, Lonesome Crow. Let's start by saying that I like this one here, but I hate that one over there. Musically, this you can hear sort of the beginning of heavy metal here, and also the last remnants of the space rock period. Kind of an oddball music here, but I did like it, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. But yeah, odd music, but good music as such. The most difficult thing to me was actually not recognizing Klaus Meine's singing. It was like only a couple of short passages here and there where I recognized his singing style. Other than that, I was like struggling to recognize that is that Klaus Meine at all. Yeah, but again, I have to say I did like this one. And I will end this episode with the heaviest album ever in my collection. And that is Foo Fighters' Sonic Highways. By the way, I think this is the Seattle cover. And yeah, music, no, I wasn't talking about music being the heaviest ever, nor the vinyl. I'm talking about the sleeve. This is unbelievably heavy. I mean, forget about going to the gym. All you have to do is lift this up a couple of times and you're done. I mean, it's just incredible. I think it's made of lead or steel, or possibly this has been originally been like a meter thick cardboard, which is pressed to this thickness by a steel press. I mean, this is incredibly heavy. Musically, good album. I like Foo Fighters. This is not their best album, but a good album nonetheless. Okay, that's it for this two-part video. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this. Leave a comment. Bye.